All right, folks. This is a 2014 Honda Accord 4-door right side window regulator. All right, the window is stuck in the up position. Okay, so we're going to change it. Now, according to what you look at the part, this is the doorman part I bought. Okay, took it out of the bag already. Basically, what you're looking at is 4 bolts on the bottom. I mean 2 bolts, 4 bolts altogether. 2 bolts on the bottom, 2 bolts on the top, and then 2 bolts to hold the window in. And then you get the plug. All right. This here is where the glass sits on. Okay, it sits in this channel here, and then there's 2 long bolts that hold the glass. These are the bolts. All right, they're all 10 millimeters. Those are 10 millimeters too. So, starting with the door panel, what you do is you cut this little panel off. All right, bend it up out of the way so you're able to get behind on both sides. Well, this side's the bigger side, so regular's going to come out of this side. So, like I said, these are the 2 bolts on the bottom, 10 millimeter. They're pretty short. These are the ones that hold the window to the regulator. Those are pretty long. Now, this window is stuck up, so that's where the problem is. Oh, by the way, these are the 2 bolts up on top. All right, now the problem here is that the window is stuck in the up position. So you can't get to these 2 bolts over here that easily. These 2 bolts, normally you roll down the window and it'll show in this window right here. These 2 bolts right here, these holes is where you would get to those 2 bolts. You have to change a glass or something else other than a stuck regulator. So, in order to get that bolt, what I used was a 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench through the bottom. Through the bottom, the bolt is actually on top of this hole. Through the bottom, all the way up on top. Of course, the wrench was falling off, so I stuck my fingers through here to hold the wrench on, and I spun that bolt off. Now, this other bolt, if you look in the corner here, and that you can see it hitting right in there. Right, there's the other one. So we're gonna take that bolt off, and then we're gonna let the window regulator or the window dangle. And look at this newfangled tool that I got. It's called a window glass holder. It's 2 suction cups with a cable sticking on one on each side of the glass. Drape it over the door frame, and it should hold the glass up out of the way. Hopefully. If not, this glass is gonna come flying straight down and they're gonna break. You guys ever have that done? Oh yeah, it's not fun. All right, so we're gonna go and take that bolt off right over there with the ratcheting wrench. All right. All right, so we run into the first problem here. Right, the 2 bolts are off on the bottom, 2 bolts are off on the top. Okay, but you notice that this little bracket here has like a little hook. One hook's on the top, and one hook's on the bottom. And because the window is stuck in the up position, you can't get it off the regulator bracket. All right, it's got the little piece here. So the window's glass is actually sitting in here. So normally you would lower the regulator down so the window would be nice and free. But since it's forced all the way up and the glass is all the way up in its channel, it's not moving anywhere. This is not going down. Window can't go up anymore. So the best way to do here is we're going to bend these little tabs out of the way, bend them down a little bit, and just be able to move this regulator out that way towards the rear. All right, let's go do that. All right, see what I did here? Took a pair of vice grips, needle nose, and I grabbed them and I turned them, tilted them in a little bit, up a little bit. Okay, that way they'll fit through the hole. And now this regulator should be able to pop out. You can see that it dropped already because you see the hose doesn't line up anymore. All right, so the regulator did drop. We better get it off this glass. All right. So here it is. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna pop it, lift it up out of the way. As you can tell that the window dropped because now there's a gap. The tool is doing its job. It's holding it. That's excellent. Where was that tool all these years? Okay, there's the regulator. Stick it out through here. I unplugged it already, by the way, people. All right, there's the old motor. Notice that the old motor doesn't have a wire to it. You plug it right into it. That's the factory motor. But the replacement one, that's a little cable to it. Right, other than that, it looks the same. All right, it's got those little 2 tabs that hook in there, 2 bolts. Looks exactly the same. Always compare parts. So you only want to do this job once. Okay. The bracket here looks the same. That's the way the window sits. All right, now to put it back in, people. All right, it's already greased up already. So you got greasy hands, you got gloves. It's a good thing to use. All right, so I'm gonna stick it back in here. Just like that. We're gonna line it up, put up the 2 bolts, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower down the window so I can see the holes through these holes. That way I'm not struggling to put those 2 bolts back on. All right, so I'm gonna wiggle it on, put the 2 bolts in the bottom, put the 2 bolts up on top. All right. So like I said, I'm gonna wiggle it in there. I don't know if you saw it, but I had it in the wrong way. Okay, curve goes to the door. Silly. All right, we're gonna go and we're gonna focus on hooking it up to that latch in there. So with my hand over here in this hole, we're gonna grab it. I want to find those 2 notches. There it is. See it? With those 2 notches there, we're gonna line up the bolts. We'll have to put the bolts in there. All right, I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. But you get the concept. All right, I'll put the 4 bolts in there and then we'll continue. And we'll line up down there too. All right, so the 4 bolts are in there temporarily. What I like to do is I like to put them back in the same marks, you know, because these have like little round marks onto the painted door here. And try to keep them all aligned at the same time. All right. So 4 bolts are in, regulator is in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna plug it in, plug in the switch, and we're gonna bring this regulator plastic piece down. You can see the holes are almost right there, see it? What I'm doing is gonna line it up right in the middle here, and then I'm gonna drop the glass slowly until the glass lines up in there. All right, so you're gonna have to take all these things that you tucked away in here out. Plug it back in. We'll plug the switch back in, and we're gonna move it, okay? All right, so here's where we're at right now. Plugged in the motor, plugged in the switch temporarily. All right, we're gonna work this switch. There you go, going down. Perfect, right? Almost in the middle. Yeah, that's good. All right, right there. I'm gonna shut it off and turn on my air conditioning, my cheap box fan air conditioning, because it's freaking like 96 degrees here today. All right, so now I'm gonna lower the glass to match that hole. All right, so there it is, lined up. Peekaboo, you can see the bolts, all the holes right there. There's my little tool that worked out great. I released them. Now we're just gonna have to screw in these nice long bolts. Got an extension here because I can't really reach in there. There it is. All right, so I'm going to tighten the little buggers up, and I'm going to test the window. All right, and get the other one. All right, so here we go. I'm going to tighten up those little buggers. Got the key on. Everything is still attached with the switch. We're going to test it out before the clouds come. Looks like a big rainstorm coming. Okay. All right. Here's the switch. Ready, everybody? Going down. Perfect. Going up. See, oh, it's a little slow. Oh, looks like it came out a little bit. Yeah. Let's find out what's wrong with that one. All right, back to that troubleshooting. Remember, this window has been up here for years. It's never been, never really worked on. So all the dirt and everything was in this channel, and that's why it was binding and the window was not going up and down. So I used this LPS spray, which is pretty good. It's not like a white grease. It's not like WD-40. It's actually, I forgot what they say that's in it. But it's pretty good. All right. Try that. Put it in the channels. Clean up all that gook that's in there. It's good to go. See that? So that's what it was. Because there really is no adjustment on here. Those bolts are just straight on. Okay, there's no, it's like a very small left or right, but other than that, there is no adjustment for up and down, nothing. It just runs perfectly in those little rubber channels. And that's it. So, yeah, I forgot this window hasn't been opened in years. All right, there you go. Up and down, people. Works good. All right, so now everything's just gonna be role reversal. Okay, don't forget, secure all your wiring out of the way. Put this back on. There's a little rubber plug over here. Okay, this stuff glues, it's still tacky. You could glue it right back on. Otherwise, put a little duct tape on it. Put your door panel on, and you're good to go. All right, so this is your right side front door window regulator Honda Accord 4-door. All right, and this is the brand that I used. Oops, this is the brand that I used. It's a Dorman. Okay, and the window switch, if you saw my other video, I ordered it from Rock Auto, and it ends up being a Intermotor brand, and it comes in as a Honda switch. Okay, it has a Honda brand name on it and everything. That's pretty cool. All right, so instead of spending $300 some on a Honda switch, I paid $150 for a bootleg one, and it ends up being a Honda switch anyway. All right, that's it, people. And also, that's a great tool too to hold the window up. Where was that when I worked on glass all those years? All right, ciao, people.